Hello, beautiful and exotic women of the world. I hope you all are having a wonderful Friday. Have you ever been told by somebody that it's not that deep? I find it interesting how people enjoy dismissing the toxic behaviors of evil people, jealous and envious people, hateful people, but will gaslight you simultaneously so that you don't trust your own discernment. And this in itself is a form of warfare, because not only is there a force that is working to make someone tell you that your judgment is wrong, but there's also a force that is validating the person who is doing the wrong. And I have dealt with this all throughout my life, from being bullied by my own mother, to being bullied in middle school, to having frenemies in high school and in college, and being isolated and being the face of multiple smear campaigns. I can tell you right now that the common theme within all of those instances and all of those experiences was that there was a person or multiple people who were defending the abuser. And this video is going to be a little bit more spiritual because I have a lot on my chest and I need to get it off. I need to talk. I need to let it out. I have a serious problem with people who do negative things, who are envious and jealous and can't get their emotions under control, and they decide to do things to hurt someone who they are threatened or envious of. These people will look you in your face and tell you, oh, it's not that deep, get over it. They'll pick on you, they'll bully you, they'll call you names. They will try to destroy everything that makes you you. And then when you confront them, they conveniently tell you it's not that deep. Why are they telling you it's not that deep? Here's why. They want you to believe that their actions are minuscule, that what you're thinking and what you're perceiving from what they're clearly doing in your face isn't fact. You mirroring to them and holding a mirror up to their face and showing them, hey, you are envious of me and I don't even know you. You hate me because of how I look and I don't even know you. And you holding that mirror up to them makes them uncomfortable, so much so to where they will turn it back on you and say, you're thinking too much into it. No one cares about you that much. No one's thinking about you that much. People used to tell me that all the time too. Who's even thinking about you like that, girl? Relax. You're not that special. But it's like, I am that special. And when I was younger, I always had discernment, but I would always fall victim to these people gaslighting me in my face, playing in my face, for lack of a better term. It wasn't until I started to stand on my 10 toes and was like, no, you're not going to gaslight me anymore, that these friendships fell to the wayside, because they were banking on me discarding my own discernment and my own intuition. That's what these people do. They want to get around you, study you, look at you through a magnifying glass, fake like they're your friend, take your whole essence from you, take everything about you that makes you you, and they want to do it in peace. They don't want to be figured out. They don't want you to notice what they're doing. They don't want you to come to your senses and call them out, because it's comfortable and it's best for them when you are blinded by the friendship bombing or by the love bombing. So they want to be able to do these things in peace. And when you don't give them the opportunity to do it in peace, and the first course of action will be them trying to gaslight you so that you will not trust your own discernment and intuition. I have a serious problem with this because people like to use this as a cop-out to avoid accountability and to avoid owning up to the fact that they most likely are bullying or hating on somebody for no reason. You know, that's an uncomfortable thing to come to terms with as an abuser, as a bully, as a hater, as a low vibrational being. You would actually have to have the maturity and the heart to admit that you hate this person because of your own feelings toward yourself. And because 90% of the world can't do that, they will make their problem your problem by saying, you're thinking too much into it. And here's my problem with that too. Society has made it so that if you call someone out on the stuff that they've done to you, they will say, well, did they put their hands on you? Well, did they physically hurt you or do something to you? Okay, well, if they didn't do that, then you can't be mad. Or if they didn't touch you, or if they didn't spit on you, or if they didn't physically disrespect you, you can't press charges, or you can't take action, or they didn't really do anything wrong. And the reason why that's bullshit is because the Bible literally talks about humans and us battling with principalities. What are principalities? Things that are unseen, things that are intangible. You can't justify someone going behind your back and gossiping about you and smearing your name, and you can't press charges for that, right? There's no consequences in the judicial system for that. But guess what? That's one of the most harmful things you can do to somebody. Why? Because it's word of mouth, it's words, and it's intangibles. Principalities. It's the principle. That's why when you hear people say, oh, well, it's the principle of the thing. It's the spiritual aspect behind it. It's the intangibles behind it that make it worse, because that person who's inflicting the harm knows they most likely won't get in trouble, or there's no consequence for it because they didn't physically do anything. But in the spirit realm, they do things. With their mouth, they do things. With their mind and their thoughts, and the evil eye that they spew is doing something. It's just not physically touching you. And that's why principalities are so crafty. It's the craftiest form of warfare, because you can't say that something was done to you physically, and that is how principalities work. It's all in the air. It's all energetic. But guess what? It's the most harmful form of warfare, because it's much more powerful than someone just touching you. It's much more harmful, and it has much more of a long-term effect. Because if you gossip about somebody and spread lies about someone who you are jealous of, that could affect their money. That could affect their reputation. That could affect the connections that they're able to make. That can affect how they're able to maneuver in the world. That can affect their social interactions. It can make them want to isolate themselves. It can make them not want to come out of their bedroom. It can cause someone to go into depression. It can cause someone to unalive themselves. These things are real. This is what principalities are. This is why the Bible talks about it. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities. Okay? So envy and jealousy causes people to do a lot of crazy things. And I have been gaslit by friends, by mutual friends, by family members. I remember when I would go to my family members and try to tell them what my mother was doing, I would get met with all types of excuses on behalf of my abuser. And that is probably the biggest slap in the face for a child who is living through harm and abuse, to go to adults who they thought that they could trust for help, and the adults are turning a blind eye and saying, oh, well, you're a child, that's your mother, you only get one mom, whatever the excuse may be. They don't realize that they are supporting and validating the abuser. And it's the same thing when you go to school, when you're at work, and you're dealing with toxic, narcissistic people who have made you a target because they're intimidated by you, they're intimidated by your work ethic, your charm, your essence, your beauty, etc. There will be a person who's targeting you, who's doing a lot of things that are intangible. So they're staring at you. They're purposely doing things in the workplace to make your life harder. They're not acknowledging you when you're out in a social setting with your coworkers. Little things that if you were to mention it, you would look like the crazy person, because why are you thinking so deeply into that? It's not that deep. But it is that deep, people. It is. And I have a serious problem with people who like to diminish the intangible actions of abusers and of narcissists and of toxic people, because they are enabling them. That's what they're ultimately doing. When you blindly allow someone to psychologically abuse or mentally abuse or bully or mistreat someone that are non-physical, you are allowing this person to get away with being toxic. And that's what wicked people enjoy. They need people around them who are going to enable them. That's why you see bullies. Bullies always have a huge group of friends. Mean girls and women who bully other women usually have a huge group of friends. They are always surrounded by a bunch of women. Why? Because they need yes men. They need people who are going to protect them and their efforts at all costs. They need people who are going to put the battery in their back. And if anything were to ever go wrong, like if someone like me were to call them out, they have a band of people ready to jump down my throat and tell me what I witnessed and what I'm experiencing is an illusion. So that is also a form of warfare too, is when you have to deal with the flying monkeys. and the people who are defending the abuser to the ends of the earth. That's a principality right there, because you are quite literally defending the person who is wicked. And you either know it or don't know it, but either way, you're helping the wicked do their wicked deeds. This also reminds me of this time where I was watching this really good stalker show on Netflix. It was like a stalker documentary. Basically, it was running through the different lives of different stalkers each episode, and kind of just getting a glimpse into these people and their obsession with their victim, and how they got away with so many things before it escalated. And throughout each episode that I watched, there were warning signs that the police and that the judicial system could have taken seriously before things got bad. They could have absolutely stopped the person who was stalking their victim before things got really bad. But what was their excuse? Oh, well, they haven't physically touched you yet. They haven't gone to your home and broken in yet. And these victims would recall the instances of them being stalked, and they would say, I was getting 500 calls a day, 600 emails a day. This person would be outside my job and they would make sure that I could see them outside. They would leave things on my doorstep to scare me. All these little things are small little psychological things that lead to the physical. But no one wants to address the little things, right? Because it's not that deep. They didn't do anything to you yet. But it's not that deep until it is that deep. It's not that deep until the person ends up chopped up. No one thinks it's that deep until the person isn't there anymore. So that's my issue. But this was just a real life example that I wanted to share with you guys, because I noticed that in all of these stories, it's like there were red flags. There were things that the police could have taken more seriously. But they told the victim, give us a call if it happens again, or if they actually touch you, or if they actually do something to your property, or if they actually come in your house, that's when you can take action. Why can't the police and the judicial system take action when they're doing the stupid little psychological bullshit with them? Because that's how you break a person down. You do the psychological stuff. You inflict the principalities. So ladies, I had to get this off my chest today, okay? This morning, I woke up with some conviction on me, okay? And I hope I didn't take you guys to church too hard, but had to do it, had to talk about it, because, I see things on social media. I see things when I'm watching TV, and it triggers me, and I get these thoughts, and I start to think about how I was literally in situations where people tried to gaslight me, so much so to the point where the person who was abusing me or bullying me or targeting me was able to get away with it because of the people who enabled them. So ladies, drop down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear if you have any similar stories or similar instances where you've had to deal with people telling you that it's not that deep when it in fact was. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share any stories you have with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.